You know, trying to navigate the Web3 or blockchain space today,
Hmm.
it feels a lot like going to a massive, sprawling shopping mall, but with a really ridiculous catch.
Yeah, pretty stressful catch, honestly.
Right. Imagine that for every single store you want to walk into, you have to sign this complex legal waiver in a language you don't even speak.
And you're completely liable for it.
Exactly. Plus, you have to carry your own personal bank vault around in like a heavy wheelbarrow.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. And on top of that, you have to constantly guess whether the cashier behind the register is actually an employee or just, a very convincing scammer waiting to steal your entire vault.
It's a profoundly hostile environment for a beginner. I mean, the learning curve isn't just steep, it actually punishes you for making even a minor mistake.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to be a cybersecurity expert just to buy a digital collectible or like swap a token.
No, you really shouldn't.
Which is why today on the deep dive, we're looking at a blueprint that claims to disarm those traps entirely. We're pulling from a really fascinating source today.
Oh, yeah, this one is super interesting.
It's a white paper from July 2026 detailing the Trustive ecosystem overview. And specifically, we're zooming in on version 1.6 of their brand new Trustive internet browser for Windows. We are going on a mission today to figure out how they actually plan to fix this massive usability and safety crisis.
What's fascinating here is that Trustive isn't just trying to launch another cryptocurrency token,
Right.
and they aren't building, just another isolated blockchain network. We have plenty of those already.
Way too many, arguably.
Exactly. They are aiming at something much more foundational. They are trying to build the trusted front door to the entire decentralized internet.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand why a completely new web browser is even necessary in the first place, we really have to look closely at the current fundamentally broken user experience of Web3.
It is remarkably broken right now.
It really is. Using blockchain today is like trying to browse the early internet, but you have to build your own modem, install 3 different phone lines, and constantly check if the website is secretly trying to rob you.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah.
So if we agree the current setup is a nightmare, how does Trustive define the root cause? Like, are we just lacking the right tools, or is the whole architecture just pushing people away?
Well, the white paper defines it as a dual crisis. It's a crisis of friction and a crisis of trust.
Friction and trust. Got it.
Yeah, because the missing piece for mass adoption isn't just another token promising slightly faster transaction speeds.
Right. Nobody cares about that if they can't even use it.
Exactly. The missing piece is a trustworthy, unified entry point. I mean, think about what a user actually has to do right now just to complete one basic transaction.
It's a massive laundry list, right?
Oh, it's a chore. First, you have to use your standard web browser. Then, you have to go out and find a specific wallet extension and install it.
Hoping it's the real one and not a fake.
Right. And once you do that, you're given a seed phrase, usually 12 to 24 random words that act as the master key to your funds.
Which is terrifying to manage.
Totally. So now you need a secure seed phrase manager to store those words safely.
And we haven't even done anything yet. We're just setting up.
Precisely. We're just getting ready to start. Then, let's say you finally make a transaction. To see if it actually went through, you usually have to open a completely separate tab and use a block explorer.
Let's pause right there, actually, because Block Explorer is one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot.
True, it's very jargon heavy.
Yeah. So for you, the listener, navigating this space, think of a Block Explorer as the public ledger's receipt machine. It's basically a website where you paste in a really long string of numbers just to verify that your money actually moved from point A to point B.
Exactly.
It's not built into your wallet at all. It's a completely different tool you have to go find and somehow learn how to read.
Right. It's an incredibly disjointed experience. And then, on top of the wallet and the receipt machine, you probably need yet another third-party tool to check if the smart contract you're interacting with is a known scam.
Wait, really? So you're telling me to do one simple thing on Web3 today, I basically have to act as my own IT department, my own bank teller, and my own cybersecurity analyst all at once.
That is exactly the burden placed on the user right now.
That's wild.
It is. And because of this massive wall of friction, one of two things inevitably happens.
Let me guess, they just quit.
Yep. Either potential users take one look at that fragmented, stressful process and they never even start.
Which makes total sense.
Or, worse, they do start. They manage to get everything set up, and then they make one tiny mistake. They click the wrong link, get burned by a phishing scam, lose their funds, and they leave the space forever.
Wow.
Yeah, the ecosystem is just bleeding out potential users at the very first step.
So if the root cause is this fragmented mess of external tools, Trustive's solution is to basically absorb all of that chaos, right?
That's the core idea, yes.
They want to collapse all of those separate, complicated tools into the most familiar interface on the planet, a standard desktop web browser.
A brilliant move, honestly.
And I think it's crucial to point out that they didn't try to reinvent the wheel from scratch here. They built the Trustive browser on the Chromium engine.
Which is the underlying architecture that actually makes this whole strategy viable.
Right. Because since you, the listener, probably already use Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge for your daily browsing, you are already using the Chromium engine.
You're completely used to it.
Exactly. The genius here is that by building on that exact same architecture, Trustive ensures that every single regular website you visit, your email, news sites, video streaming, it all works perfectly right out of the box.
There's no learning curve.
Literally zero. You download the Trustive browser for Windows, you open it, and it feels exactly like the browser you've been using for the last 10 years.
Familiarity really is the Trojan horse for the innovation here.
Oh, I like that phrasing.
Thanks. They take that highly familiar Chromium shell and they supercharge it, turning it into an all-in-one Web3 engine. The browser natively replaces all those fragmented tools we just talked about.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, for example, you don't need to install MetaMask for your Ethereum transactions anymore. And you don't need to install a separate extension like Phantom for your Solana transactions.
Which is a huge deal. Having Ethereum and Solana ecosystems living happily together natively inside the same browser. Normally, those different extensions are constantly fighting for control of your screen and your permissions.
Exactly, they conflict all the time.
Yeah.
But this creates a seamless environment. When you set up the Trusted browser, you generate a single recovery phrase. Just one.
Just one phrase for everything.
Yep. From that one phrase, the browser spins up a wallet that supports 6 different EVM networks natively.
And EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, right? Basically, any blockchain network that speaks Ethereum's underlying code language.
Right on the money. So right out of the gate, you have native support for Ethereum, Base, Polygon, BNB Chain, Arbitrum, plus a test network for developers.
Wow, that's a lot of coverage.
It is.
Yeah.
And, crucially, alongside all those EVM networks, it also fully supports Solana.
Natively.
Natively. No extensions required at all. It's completely managed by the browser's native engine.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. Because when people hear that a single company is providing this incredibly smooth, all-in-one crypto tool that holds everything, a very specific fear usually pops up.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this.
Right. The white paper uses the term self-custody. But if I have one browser holding all these different networks, isn't Trustive just acting as a bank? Are they holding my money?
That's the first question everyone asks.
Because if they are, that means they can freeze my account or lose my funds if they get hacked. How is this actually self-custody?
It's a critical distinction, and the engineering detailed in the white paper addresses that fear head-on. The Trustive browser is strictly self-custody. Trustive, the company, never touches your private keys. They never see them. Ever.
So how does it actually work under the hood then?
When you generate your wallet, your private keys are created locally on your specific Windows device.
Okay, so it happens on my physical computer.
Yes, they are encrypted locally on your device, and they never leave your machine. Trustive does not have a database somewhere with your master password.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They cannot see your funds, they cannot move your funds, and they have absolutely zero technical ability to freeze your account. You maintain absolute sovereign control. The browser interface simply removes the technological danger and clunkiness that usually comes with exercising that control.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like having a highly advanced safe built right into your house, rather than trusting a bank down the street to hold your gold for you.
Exactly. It's your safe, your house.
But let's look at the actual safety of walking around with that gold. Combining all these tools into one smooth browser definitely makes the experience easier, but making something easier doesn't inherently make it safer.
No, definitely not.
If I'm driving a car, taking away the manual transmission and giving me an automatic makes it easier to drive, but it certainly doesn't stop me from accidentally driving off a cliff.
And in Web3, the cliffs are everywhere.
Exactly, and they are disguised to look like regular roads. Phishing scams and impersonator websites are the biggest threats in this space. So how does Trustive actually solve the massive issue of impersonation? where a scammer builds a website that looks exactly like a legitimate decentralized exchange.
That is really the defining problem of decentralized spaces right now.
Hmm.
And it's where Trustive introduces their signature feature.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's called the T-Cert Green Trust Bar.
Yes.
And when I was reading the source material on this, it immediately brought me back to the internet of the early 2010s. If you remember navigating the web back then, there was this massive industry push for something called the EV-SSL Green Bar.
Oh, the extended validation certificates. They fundamentally changed how people interacted with e-commerce.
They really did. Before that green bar, people were terrified to put their credit card numbers into a website. But then browsers started showing this bright green padlock and the actual verified name of the company sitting in a green box right next to the URL.
Right.
It taught billions of people a very simple reflexive rule. If the bar is green, it is safe to enter your payment info. You didn't need to understand the complex cryptography happening in the background. You just looked for the green.
It worked beautifully.
It did. And Trustive is basically bringing that exact same psychological safety net to the blockchain.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how powerful this is for shaping human behavior. We rely incredibly heavily on visual reflexes.
We do.
When you visit a website or a decentralized app, a DApp that has been verified within the Trustive ecosystem, the address bar in the Trustive browser doesn't just show you a random URL.
What does it show?
It displays a bright green T-cert badge with a check mark.
But how does Trustive actually know that the entity is who they say they are? Like, if it's just a visual graphic, couldn't a scammer just code their fake website to display a green badge?
Not within this specific browser architecture.
Oh.
The verification isn't a graphic on the web page itself. It's deeply integrated into the browser's root trust store at the operating system level.
Yeah.
Trustive acts as a certificate authority here. They perform rigorous identity verification on the entities running these smart contracts. So when the browser loads the page, it cryptographically checks the site's credentials against Trustive's verified registry.
So it's happening behind the scenes securely.
Exactly. And if you hover your mouse over that green badge, it reveals the certified entity's real legal name, their specific certificate ID, and the exact date they were verified.
So it's mathematically proving the identity, not just taking the website's word for it?
Precisely. The browser is confirming that the smart contract you are interacting with actually belongs to the verified entity. Now, consider the alternative state. What if you click a link on social media and it takes you to a fake version of a popular crypto exchange?
The classic phishing trap. They swap a lowercase l for a number 1 in the web address, and the site looks identical to the real thing. It gets people all the time.
Right. But if it's a known scam, the Trustive browser actively intervenes. It doesn't just quietly remove the green badge.
What does it do?
It throws up a massive, unmissable red phishing block across the entire page, physically stopping you from interacting with it.
That is such a crucial layer of defense.
It really is. So for you, the user, you have three incredibly clear visual states. Green means the entity is verified and safe to transact with.
Okay.
No badge means you proceed with normal caution, just like the regular unverified web. And red means stop immediately, you are being targeted.
It's basically a traffic light system.
Exactly. This completely removes the cognitive burden on the user. You no longer have to be a cybersecurity expert cross-referencing URLs character by character.
Okay, but I have to play the skeptic again here because this brings up a massive philosophical tension that we really need to dig into.
Alrighty.
If Trustive is the entity handing out these green badges and their browser is the thing throwing up red warning blocks, aren't they basically acting as the decentralized police?
It's certainly one way to look at it.
Right, because the whole original ethos of Web3 was about pure decentralization. No central authorities, no middlemen, trusting only the math. But here, we have a centralized company acting as the ultimate arbiter of truth. Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose?
It is the central paradox of scaling this technology. Yes, relying on a centralized certificate authority introduces a choke point of trust.
A pretty big one.
But look at the alternative. Expecting every single human being to personally audit the cryptographic signatures of every website they visit has proven to be a catastrophic failure.
True. People are losing millions of dollars to scams every week.
Exactly. Trustive is betting that the average user cares way more about not losing their life savings than they care about ideological purity.
Fair point.
They are offering a pragmatic compromise. You keep absolute decentralized control of your money through self-custody, but you allow a centralized guide to map out the safe zones for you.
A guided tour through the minefield. I can definitely see why most people would gladly take that trade. But let's look at the actual mechanics of a transaction, because the danger doesn't stop at the website URL.
No, it definitely doesn't.
Let's say I'm on a green, fully verified site. The site is completely legitimate. I decide to buy a digital collectible or swap a token, and the site prompts my wallet to sign a blockchain contract. Have you actually looked at the raw data of one of these contracts lately?
It is notoriously opaque.
It's a mess.
It literally looks like reading the Matrix. It's just a wall of hexadecimal code, letters and numbers that mean absolutely nothing to a human being.
Right. Even if the site itself is verified in green, how does the browser stop a user from accidentally clicking approve on a malicious contract that actually says, in machine language, drain every single asset from my wallet? Because it happens all the time.
It does happen all the time, and it's an attack vector known as the approve all drainer pattern.
It's terrifying.
It is one of the most common ways people lose everything in Web3. They think they are signing a contract to pay like $5 for a transaction fee, but the hex code actually grants the smart contract infinite permission to withdraw all of their tokens.
So how does Trustive stop that?
Trustive attacks this complexity directly with a built-in security suite that runs natively right there in the browser.
So how does it actually intercept that matrix code?
The white paper details a feature called the Plain English Transaction Preview.
Plain English. I like the sound of that already.
It's great. Before you are allowed to sign anything, the browser intercepts the contract payload. And it doesn't just try to read the text. It actually runs a local simulation in a secure sandbox.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it mathematically simulates exactly what would happen to your specific wallet balances if you were to actually sign that contract. Then it translates that simulated outcome into plain, readable English.
So it's basically a real-time translator for the blockchain.
Exactly. So instead of showing you an unreadable string of hex code and asking you to blindly click a sign button, a pop-up appears that clearly states the exact consequence of the action.
Like what? What does it actually say?
It will say something like, you are approving unlimited spending of this specific token, or this transaction will transfer $500 out of your wallet.
That completely flips the dynamic. It tells you exactly what the gun is pointed at before you ever pull the trigger.
Precisely. And if the contract is asking for one of those highly dangerous unlimited approvals we talked about, the browser flags it in bright red as a critical warning.
That's amazing.
It also includes a dashboard that lets you review and revoke any past approvals you've given right there in the interface. They are systematically humanizing the hidden mechanics of the blockchain. They're bringing them out into the light where the user can actually understand them.
That theme of humanizing the experience goes even further than just translating smart contracts, though. The white paper outlines several other features that seem specifically designed to, lower the blood pressure of the average user.
Definitely.
For instance, just the simple act of sending money to a friend. Usually, to send crypto, you have to carefully copy and paste a 42-character string of random numbers and letters.
Which is incredibly stressful.
It is. And you sit there sweating, double-checking the first 4 characters and the last 4 characters, because if you miss a single letter, your money doesn't bounce back like a bank wire. It just gets sent into a black hole forever.
The anxiety of hitting send on a crypto transaction is a universally understood pain point in this industry.
But the Trustive browser natively supports human-readable naming services. So right in the browser's address bar, you can just type name.eth for the Ethereum name service or name.sol for the Solana name service.
It's so much cleaner.
It really is. You can send funds to a friend's simple username instead of that terrifying 42-character string. The browser treats it exactly like typing in a regular web address. It resolves the complex cryptography into something that feels like just sending an email.
And they tackle the onboarding friction with that exact same philosophy. The browser features a built-in fiat on-ramp.
Let's make sure we define that really quick. When we say fiat, we just mean traditional government-issued money, dollars, euros, yen, whatever you use daily. So unpack how this on-ramp actually changes the game for a new user.
Think about the traditional, painful process of getting traditional money into the crypto ecosystem right now. Usually you have to go sign up for a separate, centralized exchange like Coinbase or Binance.
Which takes forever.
Right, you have to hand over your identity documents, link your bank account, and then wait days for the funds to clear. Then you have to manually transfer the crypto from the exchange to your personal self-custody wallet, hoping you don't mess up the receiving address and lose it all in transit.
It's easily a 5 or 6 step process, and literally every step is stressful.
It is. But with the Trustive browser, they've reduced it to basically an online shopping experience. You literally just click a button in the browser wallet that says buy.
Just buy.
Yep. You input your regular fiat credit card,
Hmm.
and the crypto is purchased and deposited directly inside your self-custody browser wallet. There's no middleman exchange to navigate.
Wow, that removes so much hassle.
The white paper identifies this specific friction as the crucial first step that most people never get past, and they've completely streamlined it.
And once you actually have those assets, the way the browser lets you look at them is completely different too. Instead of forcing you to go back to that confusing block explorer to see raw data, the browser features a native visual portfolio.
That's a great feature.
It really is. It shows you the total value of your assets in real everyday dollars, aggregating across all those EVM networks and Solana. And if you collect NFTs, it doesn't just show a meaningless token ID number.
Right, it actually shows the art.
Exactly. It displays an actual visual gallery of your digital items right in the browser. It makes it feel like you are looking at a real, tangible account rather than some raw database query.
Which brings us to the broader strategy behind all of this, really. Because as you look at all these robust features, the Chromium engine, the native cross-chain wallets, the plain English translation, the T-cert green bar, you have to start asking about the end game.
So, what does this all mean? We have this incredibly robust, safer, significantly easier browser, but why is Trustive doing this?
It's the million-dollar question.
Right, why are they dedicating immense resources to building and giving this highly complex software away to users for free? Usually in Web3, a company's big move is launching a token, building hype, and hoping the price goes up. Why focus all this energy on a desktop web browser for Windows?
Because it is a stroke of strategic genius regarding distribution. Think about the broader landscape here. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they are massive, powerful networks.
Huge.
But none of them have their own trust-native consumer browser with a built-in green verification bar. They all rely on fragmented third-party wallets and third-party explorers to reach the user.
Right, they outsource the interface.
Exactly. And Trustive recognized a fundamental truth of software. Whoever controls the interface controls the user experience. The browser isn't just a standalone product they're giving away. It is the connective tissue for everything they do. It is the primary distribution channel for the entire Trustive ecosystem.
It's the front door, just like you said at the very beginning of the deep dive. They're building the doorway that everyone basically has to walk through.
Exactly. By owning the browser, Trustive establishes itself as the ultimate authority that certifies who is legitimate in Web3. When massive partners, centralized exchanges, and decentralized apps want to prove to users that they are safe to interact with, they will need to earn that T-cert badge so they show up green in the Trustive browser.
Wow.
The standard of trust becomes owned and distributed by Trustive.
But with all that control over the interface, the white paper is very careful to point out that this power isn't being used to harvest your data.
Right, that's a very important caveat.
They heavily emphasize that the browser is private by design. There is no telemetry running in the background sending your browsing habits back to Trustive headquarters. There's no ad profiling building a shadow dossier on you. Your search history and your private keys stay locally on your Windows machine.
Which naturally raises the question of how a company keeps the lights on and funds continuous development if they aren't selling ads or harvesting user data.
Because they have to make money somehow, right?
Absolutely. The white paper outlines a sustainable business model that actually mirrors how traditional web browsers, like Firefox, have funded themselves for years.
Interesting.
Trustive takes optional partner fees from the decentralized exchange swaps and the credit card fiat on-ramps that are seamlessly built into the browser.
Yeah.
It creates a revenue stream that sustains the development of the ecosystem without compromising the user's privacy or security.
It really is a comprehensive end-to-end vision. We start this deep dive talking about navigating a minefield, and it feels like Trustive has basically surveyed the field, mapped all the explosives, and rolled a paved, armored highway right through the middle of it.
That's a great way to put it.
To wrap this up, if you take one big thing away from this July 2026 white paper, it's that the Trustive browser is trying to do for Web3 exactly what the original web browsers think Netscape Navigator or early Internet Explorer did for the early Internet.
They're taming the frontier.
Exactly. They are taking a technology that is currently complex, highly intimidating, and strictly for technical experts, and they are turning it into a safe daily utility that anyone can use without fear. They are making the invisible cryptography visible and, more importantly, understandable.
They are building the essential bridge for mass adoption. But this raises an important question, and it brings us back to that core tension we discussed earlier.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's a question worth pondering as this specific browser and this technology in general continues to evolve. The entire original philosophy of Web3 and the blockchain was built on the premise of pure decentralization, removing the middlemen, removing the central authorities, and trusting only the immutable math.
Right, that was the dream.
But if the ultimate practical solution to navigating the wild west of this decentralized web is a centralized browser built by one company that acts as the authority telling you who is safe and who isn't,
Mhm.
does true decentralization actually work for the average human being? Or, when walking through a minefield, will we always eventually demand a trusted guide to filter the chaos for us?
A fascinating tension to end on, from the Wild West to the green trust bar and the trade-offs we make for safety. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.